Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome back. It is Sunday, which means one thing, more Sky Bet League One action to get our teeth into. 12 matches again tonight, a bumper weekend. We had local derbies, we had rivalries, we had hammerings away from home, we had home victories, we had away victories, we had a couple of draws, a couple of 0-0 draws in there as well for all good measure, and a few shocks at the top of the table. It's all getting very close at the top and at the bottom, and we're only 4 games in to this Sky Bet League One season. Again, the newly promoted teams, some doing quite well, others not doing quite well as well. Let me know if you can see and hear me okay in the chat below. But before we do any more, we must go to our co-host who has decided to turn up tonight. We couldn't quite get him on Wednesday. Out of my control. The transfer budget wouldn't quite, let me go for 2 shows in a week. We are going to Jake from the Stacey West podcast. Jake, unmute yourself so I can get you in, son. But again, Jake, I'm going to get you in now, mate. How are we doing?
From the Stacey West, yeah?
Oh, well, you're from the Stacey West, aren't you?
No,
really?
no.
That's where you made. That's where you made. Just remember where your bread and butter was from.
Eh?
Just remember where your bread and butter is from. He is from Channel 72. He is from Channel 72.
Yeah.
250 subscribers now.
Yeah, 250. Yeah, very good, thank you. You know the reason why I didn't come on Wednesday? It's because I was fuming at a referee and his incompetency, which was a bit rubbish. But no, mate, all good. Absolutely knackered, but we move with the Sky Bet League One content, don't we?
Absolutely, and Jake is obviously the former Stacey West man, but now the Channel 72 man, where you can go and check him out on YouTube as well. A lot of Wigan fans here tonight, 52 already of you joining us on this Sunday night. If you could like the stream while you're in that'd be massively appreciated as well. I have a feeling tonight is going to be full of Wigan fans and a few Port Vale fans, maybe. Maybe even a few more fans that are doing quite well at the top. Technically, we're top of the league. Wigan are doing just fine at the top of the league. We're top of the league. Say we are top of the league. Cambridge. Technically, can I just say, my League One prediction is bang on. If you kind of swap the table around, it would get turned upside down. So I've done a good job there, I think. That is Jake's channel, so you're going to go and give it a little plug and subscription. That'd be very good. Hello, Katie. Hope you are well. Fleetwood get battered everywhere they go. Derby, former Premier League team, obviously got the record in the Premier League no one's won, so a classic championship club, and now they're playing Fleetwood Town at home. So if you were a Fleetwood fan, if you're a Derby fan, then good victory for you yesterday. Up the ticks, play up Portsmouth. Forgotten how much I love this division. It's up the League One. It's up the League One. Let's just skip the event at the Sheepdig and talk about Wigan. I'm sure Wise. There was many Wise following your team to a Wigan win. Wonder who that was. Absolutely. Even up the Bolton battering ticks. They're just magic, aren't they? Wigan at the moment, Jake. Before we come on to them, how was your weekend?
Yeah, it was all right, mate. I didn't get down to Shrewsbury. I didn't want to go, frankly, after the rubbish was served up last year away there. But Sundays are better when your football team win, mate. So I've had a very good Sunday, a very good week.
Are they?
Oh, you wouldn't know, mate. You wouldn't know for quite some time. But I'm very much enjoying my team, sitting just outside the playoffs, having a lovely time with it, mate. Yeah.
Hello, Ralph. We'll come to Cambridge very soon. So stick along for the next 10-15 minutes and we will get that. Good evening, everyone. Another great win for the Vale. It's doing just fine up the Cambridge, up the Cobblers. Now then, boys, hello, mate. How we doing? I'm Ben Swindon fan here. Welcome to the channel, mate. Hope you are well. Wigan a lot. I can see it happening. Good evening. Borfest game, but we came away with a point. One to the 250 that went from Fleetwood. Yes, we will come to that. Thank you very much, Katie. I got slightly triggered yesterday, and believe me, there's a few tweets in my drafts that didn't quite get sent yesterday. So I was going through them before, just going deleting them. So we will come on to our first game, Bolton Wanderers against Wigan Athletic. The first game of the afternoon. It started at 12:30 and it ended 4-0 to the Ticks. What a victory. And this Wigan side, it has a lot of young players in it. but it has a lot of quality to it as well. Sean Clare coming in the building, I think, has been brilliant. I think Tom Pearce, again, the most assists in the league right now. You got Charlie White scoring goals. All 5 of his goals, actually, Jake, coming away from home. And got 69 Sky Bet League One games now in just over 200 games, which is a 1 in 3 record. And I said if he can keep that record up, he'll score 20 goals this season. And he's well on course for that. Adiko in midfield is some player, by the way, as well. What a through ball for Charlie White's goal against Carlisle the other night. Smith again in midfield, impressive. Hughes at the back, brilliant as ever. I think Tickle in goal has done very, very well. And to win 4-0, Stephen Humphrey's getting a brace, which is always impressive. I think he's been, kind of pushed into the background. Obviously had a loan, in Scotland last season, but back in Sky Bet League One now. How well is Sean Maloney doing? Because they'd be top of the league without this deduction, and now they're in positive points. What would you say their next realistic target of should be? Because it was always going to get to that 0 points, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it can be understated the job that Maloney's done since coming into Wigan. I think obviously when he first come in, it was pretty much on the writing was on the wall. They were going to get relegated. They had turmoil after turmoil last year, and I think Wigan fans will agree with me. Obviously, we sympathise for what they went through that season. And since coming into League One, they've been fantastic. Tactically, I look at them; they've been excellent in the games where they needed to sit back and hit on the counter. They have done in games where they needed to go and dominate the ball and break down opposition. You're looking at Northampton and you're looking at Carlisle. Why they didn't come away with maximum points from those 2 games, 4 points from a home and an away game is pretty impressive. Because if you draw your away games and win your home games, Ben, you're pretty much going to get promoted out of this league. But in terms of their target, I think just before that, I think everyone wrote them off on Saturday. You saw Bolton on Tuesday. I saw them first day of the season. They were pretty good, to be fair. Bolton are let's not beat around the bush. Bolton are an impressive side. And for Wigan to go there and batter them 4-0 in their own park, which is what they've done the last 2 times they've been to the tough sheet, that's pretty impressive. But I think for me, in terms of targets, Wigan get to 50 points as quick as you can. The quicker you get to 50 points, the more likely you are to have something to play for at the end of the season. And I think a lot of people would have underestimated Wigan this year, myself probably included. I put them 15th. You had them 13th, Ben. Wardy had them 20th. This Wigan team could realistically have a very good shout at getting the top 6. And I think if they can continue the form they're on now, yes, they'll have down patches, absolutely, but definitely a team that can make the top 6 and be flirting around it, no doubt.
They have a feel-good factor about them again as well. And, the fans are on board again. And, again, they took over 4,000 fans to Bolton. I don't care if it's down the road. Their support won them that game yesterday, in my opinion. That they've stuck by them, obviously, through hard times last season. And, they've been there through the good time in Sky Bet League One. And they've never really had a bad season in Sky Bet League One. When you think about it, obviously, the season is just about stayed up was when they had young kids playing, wasn't it? So, well done to Wigan Athletics. Sean Maloney's doing a really good job there. He did a good job in Sky Bet, in the Sky Bet Championship as well. That it wasn't quite mentioned because of the fact that they went down. But again, he's a young, hungry manager, and I really like what Wigan are doing. And for me, Sean Maloney, manager of the week, in my opinion. And I know some might not agree, but I think Wigan. I think there's one phrase: believe. And that's what they've got. When you got that at a football club, it's very, very powerful. They are a good football club, and the fans are at the community. And +2, baby. We'll go to Barnsley next, who picked up an impressive win on the start of the season, a 7-0 win. They drew at Bristol Rovers last week, and we were sat here last week saying, decent start, 4 points. Double game week, though, Jay. That all changes. You lose 2 games. You lost to Peterborough in the week 3-1. You lose 3-1 again at Oxford. Obviously, going a goal down. Brannigan scoring a penalty. He's up and running now. He likes a penalty, does Brannigan. Again, Barnsley just looked weak in several areas as well. I know they've got quality, and they have been managed to tie Cannell and Phillips down to new deals this week as well. But bar that, they are lacking a bit of quality in the final third. I know Devante Cole did score his 4th goal of the season and had an effort that he just narrowly missed his feet. And then Oxford going, managed to, see out the game. Tyler Goodwin, I think, had a, impressive assist against Carlisle, didn't he? Himself getting on the score sheet. But Oxford were equally as impressive. They've got now 3 wins in a row. They beat Carlisle at home, which was 1-0, hard fought. But to go away at Derby and go away at Barnsley, 2 promotion, favourites, you'd say, that are going to be in the top 8, the top 10 at the end of the season, is really impressive. And Barnsley, might look a bit weak right now, but come the end of the season, this could be a real, decisive week for Oxford.
Yeah, I'll touch on Barnsley first. I think it's a bit of a wake-up call because they've played 2 teams that they would think that they would expect to be sniffing around in the table, and they've been turned over twice, 3-1 at home. I think they'll be worried. I think obviously Wardy alluded to it earlier in the day for us, but on that League One podcast, go and check it out, by the way, if you haven't already. That's how you get a plug in, Ben.
There you are. There we are.
I think that it's alarming about what Herbie Kane came out and said after the game on Saturday, that he doesn't want to speak about his contract. He thinks that they need to bring a number of players, top quality players at that, to complement the group, which it doesn't sound like they already have. I'd be worried if I was Barnsley at the moment. They didn't look to get out of second gear. They were played off the park by a better team. Oxford, we're in regular contact with Wardy. It's a great week for them to go to Derby and Barnsley, who I think Derby and Barnsley definitely teams that you'd be expecting to be competing this year, to go into those 2 games and get 6 points. Although my fear is with Oxford, they have to do it against the bottom sides. They can't just get themselves up for the games against the top sides, because you're not going to get promoted that way. But still, very good football, playing some excellent football. Harris off the mark, fantastic signing by the looks of it. Tyler Goodrum come on Saturday and scored as well. So I think Oxford still have a little bit of work to do in the window, maybe 1 or 2 more, add a bit of depth. Because if Oxford can start changing games from the bench, Ben, they're going to be a different animal altogether. So, worrying for Barnsley, but extremely exciting for Oxford.
I thought they were brilliant, Oxford. I think Tyler Goodrum again was impressive last year, and again him getting a goal was good. Obviously an own goal as well, but brilliant bit of work by Stanley Mills on the far side. And again Barnsley, worrying signs for them. But Blackpool again, I think there's more positives than negatives at Blackpool right now. They're not conceding goals. Obviously, they haven't conceded a goal yet this season, which is the only team in League One yet to do so. Exeter and Portsmouth have only conceded 1. Blackpool on 0. A 2-0 win against Burton, and then followed up by 3 0-0 draws against Exeter last week, Port Vale and Leyton Orient. With no disrespect, you'd be open to get a minimum of 5, possibly 7. You've only got 3. Blackpool do need some quality in the forward areas. They have brought in Oakley Booth, like as well, and from his loan spell last year, didn't really get many minutes at Lincoln like you would have hoped due to the many loan players you did have through the building. 7, wasn't it, last season at Lincoln? Blackpool have also brought in Jensen Weir as well. I think that's a very good signing. 10 goals for Morecambe last year. I think that will add goals, but still not a striker. And I do worry about that front 2 of Beasley, Lavery, Carey, Hamilton are all options. Leon's at the far flank, but other than that, I don't think there's many goals in that far. And I think Shane Lavery might get 15. I think you're going to struggle to get 10 out or 12 out the others. So Blackpool won't concede many goals. Blackpool will be in the top 3, top 4 best defensive clubs in the division. I think the signings of Pennington. I think Pateti's a very good player, husband. Cassie at the back, who's had an impressive start. Dan Grimshaw pulled off a couple of good saves yesterday. But Howell's Orient goal yesterday was just as impressive. And it's really good to see Leyton Orient off the mark. And we saw Cheltenham get off the mark. Every team now in Sky Bet League One has got a point now. Well, so that is worth mentioning as well. So Leyton Orient, a good point for them. Richie Wellens returning to Bloomfield Road after making over 190 appearances for the Seasiders as a player where he started, very early on in his career as well. So a good point for Orient. 2 drop for Blackpool, but another clean sheet at home going into Lincoln away next week.
Yeah, do you know what? I'll touch on Orient first. I think since they got battered 4-0 by Pompey a week ago, I think they've put in 2 very good performances. Yeah, they got beat by Wycombe, but they showed a lot of attacking intent in that game. They scored 2 goals. They caused Wycombe a couple of problems. And then yesterday, going to Blackpool, who I think I certainly had Blackpool in the playoffs. I imagine you would have had Blackpool sniffing around the top 6. To go to Bloomfield Road, and Blackpool have to be good at home. They were good at home the last time they got into the Championship of the year, the COVID season. Not every team went there and lost though. I think we beat them 3-2 that year. But they beat us in the moment that mattered, though, Nappers, didn't they? But no, yeah, they're really interesting. I think Orient will be pleased with the point. They probably could have nicked all three. Joe Pigott had a really good chance, like you said. Dan Grimshaw made a good save. Blackpool, I agree with you, Ben, need to sign more strikers. Joey Yates was by far their best player last season in terms of output. When you take a striker that scores 15 goals at the level above in a season, I mean, it shows you he's gone to Swansea and he's hit the ground running already. I think he scored in back-to-back home games for Swansea this year. They need to bring in some more attacking reinforcements. Beasley's a good striker, but has only done it at Rochdale. And if they're not going to score any goals next week, then I think they're going to come unstuck because we're scoring now. So if they can't score against us and we can score a couple of goals, they might be in bother. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Blackpool, but for Orient, I'm very encouraged. I think if they get another 1 or 2 in, then I think they're going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah, you need Pig up and running. Also, True got a brace the other night, didn't he, against Wycombe, and obviously a mental game that Wycombe just heads through, where you centre half on debut scoring 2 goals and low at the back. So Cambridge top of the league, deserved mentioning that, doesn't it? 2-0, 2-0 victories actually, and a 2-1 defeat against Stevenage. In all 3 of their defeats, they've averaged 38, 35 and 30% possession. In their defeat, they averaged over 65%. So that just tells you when they get a goal, they can sit behind the ball and really frustrate teams. They've also had a core 11, haven't they, where I know Kachunga, who did score the other day, came on for Yana on the far flank. Obviously, he did start yesterday, but bar that, he's been a pretty much settled squad where you got Brophy, Lancaster, Ahadmi, Digby, these types of players which are important for them, an experienced back line as well. Huge result for Cambridge. Bristol Rovers, obviously. Again, a typical Bristol Rovers week. They go to the Valley, win 2-1, in that injury time, you think, wow, is this a result to push them on? Then they brought back down to earth against a side that, no disrespect, you should be looking at getting something from the game. The big talking about at Bristol Rovers this week is Joey Barton isolating James Belshaw, saying he will not play for them again due to transfer activity. Obviously, he was dropped for the start of the season, and Belshaw asked the question, well, am I going to be around? And Joey Barton, no real clear answer, so he has to go out on loan. I don't agree with asking on the game day, but again, he's a good goalkeeper, and I think it'll be a big miss for Bristol Rovers because I think when he is playing, I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in League One.
Yeah, difficult, isn't it? We'll touch on Cambridge, obviously another great win. I think it shows that I think they've done it in all of their games to an extent. They've played well on the counter. They're not a team that if you give them the ball, they're going to struggle. I think that's what Stevenage's game plan was. On Tuesday night, giving the Cambridge a ball, and Cambridge sort of panic and they think, what on earth are we going to do with it? But great for Cambridge to win, obviously, at home, keeping up that record at the Abbey. That's going to be important. They were so good at the start of last year at the Abbey, weren't they? They were sitting in there, maybe not top of the league, but they were certainly top sort of 4 or 5.
7th after 8 games last year.
Kicking into this sort of time of the season. As for Bristol Rovers, I think the inconsistency that we've seen this week is exactly why Bristol Rovers will not be challenging for the top 6 this season. Great on Tuesday night, fantastic. And then in a game where you probably consider them favourites, despite Cambridge being above them in the league, nothing. They offered nothing. I think they've had a good week off the pitch. Obviously, you allude to the Belshaw rumours. I think they've brought in 2 very good players this week. Harvey Vale, who's on loan from Chelsea. He's had a bit of a stinker at Hull last year in the level above, but I think he captained an England under-20 side to a World Cup, in a World Cup. And they brought back in Bogarde on loan from Aston Villa, who was a pretty good... Is it
I'm glad you pronounced that.
Is it? I want to say it's Bogarde. If there's any Bristol Rovers fans, let me know if I've said it wrong, but he was pretty impressive. I think he joined in January of last year, was pretty impressive towards the end of the season. And so, yeah, but... I think Bristol Rovers will be okay. You mentioned Joey Barton gets the fans of the club he's managing to believe everything that he says. So the Rovers fans might be a little bit deluded in that sense. You were deluded a couple of years ago, Ben, when you had Joey Barton in charge, because that's just what he does to you. But no, good win for Cambridge, Ben. Really impressed with him again. And look. They're not going to be top of the league, like you said the other week. They were tongue in cheek. We are top of the league, etc. But fair play. 4 game weeks in, they're still up there, aren't they?
Here he is. Here he is. Can Oxford do Plymouth last season? I'm just putting it out there. They beat Derby this week. I don't know if he's mentioned it or Oxford.
No, it's not like Worley to mention that they beat Derby away from home, is it?
Absolutely. And again, if you could like the stream, guys, it's 70 of you in. Get like and get subscribed, and it does help the channel out more than you would know. And I tell you what needs helping out right now. Carlisle United up front. They need goals, don't they? And just the 2 points from the first 4 games, Jake. I've got Jack.
Wardy, are you anywhere to be seen, mate? Yeah, do you know what? I mean, Carlisle's forward options aren't great, are they? They're relying on Sean Maguire, who did nothing really for Cov last season. You've got Luke Plans, who I don't even want to talk about what Luke Plans got up to last season. Do you know, I actually watched before I came on. Carlisle fan Blue Army TV made a really good video on the game yesterday, just to give myself a bit of knowledge. They looked so poor going forward. I think they had their opportunities, and if they had better strikers in those moments, they would have got a point. If not, maybe even 3. And then when they let Exeter get back into the game, obviously you went for Ryan Trevitt. Ryan Trevitt, is that his name? Ryan Trevitt, on loan from Brentford anyway.
Very good goal.
Very good goal. And then
I goal of the weekend.
I also, I mean, I haven't watched the whole game back, but I've seen the incidents. Demi Mitchell shouldn't be on the pitch when he scored the second goal, on a yellow card for a stupid tackle, concedes another stupid tackle, should be sent off. And when Exeter get that second goal, it knocks the stuffing out of Carlisle. So I can see why Carlisle fans are a little bit annoyed. But yes, heavily needed reinforcements in the forward line, or else Carlisle are going to be cut adrift rather sharpish.
I thought Exeter were brilliant, and well done to the 300 and odd fans that travelled down as well. I thought that deserves a mention. 700 miles on a Saturday is superb, and Exeter had a really good start to the season when you look at it. They beat Wycombe, hammered them away 3-0. You know, they went to Fratton Park, lost by a goal to 0, and were quite unlucky. They had chances, Norwich pulled off. I'd probably say one of the best saves of the season so far, and we matched A4 because of the last minute to palm it away. Really good reflexes against a side, that I've spent a lot of money on wages and, reinforcements this summer as well. They played well and did themselves proud. A good point last week against Blackpool, I thought, again, ranking down the far side, really, really got at Blackpool. I thought was probably the best player on the pitch, in my opinion. Obviously, and you got your non-Bays who will add to that as well. And a good week for the Grecians, obviously capped off at Carlisle away. Unlucky yesterday, sounded like Derby had to scrape over the line. Yes, we will come to that in a minute. But Charlton next, what a result and what a turnaround for this Port Vale side. They lost 7-0 on the opening day of the season. Since then, they beat Fleetwood in the Carabao Cup by 3-2. They beat Reading, newly relegated Reading by 1-0. Had a goal disallowed. Connor Ripley saved a penalty. Everything seemed to go right for them on the day, and they won by 1-0. Should have been many more, in my opinion. We're unlucky not to take 3 points off Blackpool on Tuesday night. Again, another goal disallowed, but another clean sheet on the road. And they went to Charlton and won by 3-2. Ethan Chislett is magic. He's been absolutely brilliant since coming into the football club. A brace against Fleetwood, now a goal against Charlton. Racing one-on-one with Maynard Brewer, and he's putting it into the back of the net. Funzo Ojo and James Wilson also adding to the score sheet on a brilliant day out in London. A brilliant reaction. Andy Crosby has done a terrific job since the 7-0 demolition, because they could have got into the shell. And we looked at the fixtures after that game, and we saw Blackpool, we saw Reading, we saw Charlton. They've got Carlisle next week, and they've really pushed on. And since Barnsley have done that, they've only taken 1 point from 3 games. What a mad little game football is. Yeah,
they're very much making me eat humble pie a little bit, Port Vale. Obviously, I put them bottom of the league, didn't I? And to be honest, Ben, when I first opened my notifications after the first day of the season, I saw they'd been spanked 7-0. I thought I was absolutely justified, but fair play to Andy Crosby. The motivation and the determination he's got out of his side since that moment has been nothing short of phenomenal. To win 3 games and to draw 1 in that next run of 4 was great. But just on Saturday, I thought they were electric. Ethan Chislett, someone that I saw last year at Wimbledon, didn't know if he was going to make the step up, but to go and put a performance in like that away at Charlton, it shows to me exactly why he can. But yeah, they were excellent on the counter attack. They really caused Charlton problems. It looked like when they went 1-0 down, they might get their heads down, but second half, just a completely different side. And I really like the intelligence of Josh Thomas in the third goal, where he runs into the goalkeeper. He's not on his feet. He's knocked off his feet, and he's still got the composure to not slash the ball towards the goal. He's got the composure to pick out Ojo at the back post for a tap in. So. Vale, fair play, massively fair play. Charlton, I don't know, it reeks a little bit, doesn't it? I'm a little bit concerned. We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that they've changed the entire spine of their team, and that takes a bit of time to get used to. They're bringing in so many players into the spine of that team. Good for Alfamid to get off the record, though. If it was me, he would have got off the mark on opening day against Leyton Orient, but you guys wanted George Dobson to score. But yeah, I think Charlton will be a work in progress. I think they'll come stronger as the season goes on. Is what I'm trying to say.
Port Vale, obviously, it's the first result since New Year's Day where they beat Forest Green Rovers. Just before they did beat the start of December, they beat Plymouth on a Friday night, and not many teams went to Plymouth last season and won. Only the did. I thought I'd see you up there, and again, James Wilson scoring 2, and again, he's really found a home at Port Vale, and obviously he didn't have any look at Fleetwood on trial, but. Again, found a home, and Port Vale, what a result. Great set of supporters. He took over 2,000 to Blackpool, over 800 yesterday, I think it was in the end, in the away end. And they had a tough month of travelling as well, obviously to Barnsley, which wasn't good. Andy Crosby's done a very, very good job. And, didn't do too well last year, did they, Port Vale, at the back end of last season? Started off really well, if you remember, and he's just staying consistent now because Vale Park now, they've got the atmosphere behind the goal. They get 7,000 to 8,000, in a place like, Burslem is very, very, very impressive. Next up, Derby County, 24,500 packed in. Almost the population of Fleetwood packed into that ground yesterday, and Fleetwood took 233 fans. And apparently, support wins games. And yesterday, Derby won 1-0. And I can tell you this, it wasn't the supporters that won them the game. It was the clinical edge of Martin Waghorn that got them over the line. I thought it was a fairly even game that Derby shaded in the first half. Obviously, they took their opportunity. Fleetwood didn't. Fleetwood had 2 decent opportunities in the whole game. Maybe 3, actually. Obviously, Junior had a shot from range. Well saved by Wildsmith. Wildsmith made another terrific save to deny promise on a cherry. And also, James Stockley hit a post as well. On another day, Fleetwood could have taken a point. Derby, again, wasn't even in Gear B. I thought they were in Gear C, if I'm honest with you. But need results like that if they're going to challenge. Paul Ward even said at this moment in time, they are not a top 2 or a top 3 side. They are a few players off, but they are not far away. That suggests to me that they're going to bring a few more players in. Johnson Clark-Harris is available, as we mentioned before in our podcast. Again, good result for Derby. We'll come to Fleetwood in a minute, but what are your thoughts on Derby right now? And obviously the work Paul Warne is doing, 2 wins from 4.
Yeah, really unmoved by Derby at this minute in time, Ben. Like Paul Warne said in his post-match, I think they're short on players. I think they need attacking players through the door really quickly. Yeah, Martin Waghorn's been a bit of a revelation 2-2. Thought he took his goal really well, actually. It was a really clever touch to set up the strike. But yeah, I don't know. Derby just not moving me at the moment. Everyone, including myself, predicted them to go up automatically, but they're just a little bit short in attacking areas. And I think unless they can address that, they're going to be in a spot above it. And obviously, Paul Warne's aware of that. I think, like you said, Clark Harris is probably the obvious one if they've got the money, which I'm not sure they do. He would probably be the best buy that they could get, but yeah, I think they're papering over cracks at the minute. Derby, poor performance. Yeah, great. And do you know what? I'm going to say I don't think Paul Warne's the right man. As much as I think he's a great manager, I don't think he's the right man for a club like Derby. And I can justify that. I think Paul Warne is a better manager when he's an underdog and not someone who's expected to perform. When he's expected to perform and is given the resources like he has been, I don't think he's as good. Now, I know you're going to come back to me and say that Rotherham team were probably too good to get promoted, one of the best
No,
teams.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, do you think that expectation? Obviously, you're at Derby County, his expectation, but do you think he's built that expectation up because he's got promoted 3 times out of League One before? Do you kind of think that that's added to it a little bit?
I think his CV doesn't help him. Look, obviously there were pictures flying around of Darren Moore being at the game on Tuesday night. That's not going to help his case at all, is it?
No.
But no, I think Paul Warren would be much more successful managing Oxford or managing Lincoln or managing, I don't know, someone that's meant like an outside. Look, no, he's not. He's not a relegation fodder manager, Ben. But still, do you know what I mean? I think he's better off managing a team who thinks maybe we can get in the top 6, maybe we can get automatic. Derby is you have to, or it's a failure. Do you know what I mean?
There you are. You've got someone agreeing with you. I do agree, by the way, on that. I think when you look at expectation, Darren Moore was a prime example. Yeah, last year at Sheffield Wednesday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The expectation on Darren Moore and Paul Warren are quite similar, but they're very different in other ways as well. The expectation on Darren Moore was because he's manager Sheffield Wednesday, because he's had resources, and Paul Warren's the same. But Paul Warren's got, I think, more expectation on him than Darren Moore because Derby obviously get a similar gates as well at home, but also, got promoted out of this league before with Rotherham United. Darren Moore obviously, never had that on his CV, did he? So, I'm in full agreement. I thought they were poor yesterday. Just on Fleetwood very quickly, rumour Jack Marriott is leaving the football club to go to a League Two club, which if he goes, I do worry because he's got no goals.
It's not obvious, is it? It's not obvious where he's going, Ben.
It's definitely not obvious where he's going. But Ryan Reynolds, FC, Wrexham.
He's off to Oxford. The same as Ryan Hardy, he's off to Oxford.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Wardy keeps telling me. But I'm worried as a Fleetwood fan right now. Just quickly, look, we get a result against Cambridge last week. We sat here thinking, well, it's nothing to worry about. Fleetwood's game against Shrewsbury next week after match week 5, and I hate using this term this early on in the season, is a must-win match. You go to Charlton, Blackpool after that. Then I think you've got the visit of Oxford coming up as well, which... Ooh,
Do you want that?
Oh, I can just see Wardy grinning at me going, "Ew."
Do you know what, Ben? I think you probably deserve a bit more credit. I think Fleetwood, in my mind, have earned a bit more credit this week because they've gone to Bolton. Yeah, they've been pummeled. They've been pummeled by Bolton, and like you mentioned in your video, have we seen the league champions potentially? But you made opportunities, and again, I look at the highlights on Saturday. You made opportunities against a team who have, on paper, probably 2 of the better defences in the league. So, in terms of going forward for Fleetwood, I'm sort of gaining a little bit more confidence in you. If you lose Jack Marriott to Wrexham, that's going to damage that. But think of the money you're going to get in, right? Sorry. I think if you get a decent replacement, you're going to get maybe a couple $100K for Marriott, right?
700.
If you get 700K for Marriott and you don't bring in a better
6 months ago, by the way,
and if you don't bring in a better striker for 700K, then I think
I don't think he's worth 700K, but I think he's worth $1.5 million to Fleetwood for what he adds to the team.
But this is it. So look, I think if you can get better defensively, look, you signed this lad this week from Celtic, this Lawal fella. I mean, I've not seen a lot of him, but from what I have seen, he's very physical, very big. Looks like he's going to cope at the level. I think if you add a couple more defenders and a star striker, I genuinely think you'll be fine. I think it's just a slow start, and these things happen in football. But Fleetwood have shown me enough in the last week to get me a little bit more excited on them, if that makes sense.
What did Northampton show you on Tuesday night? Obviously, they came back, rescued a point against your imps. Obviously, we're not going to we don't want to go into that. But it was a great result yesterday against Peterborough. Very low quality game. Penny scoring.
Can I tell you what they showed me, Ben? Can I ask you? Can I tell you what they showed?
Yes,
they showed me that they don't know where to. They showed me they don't know where to take throw-ins from. That's what they showed me. Case closed. Go on.
Anyway, again, a Pinnock. I don't know what it was. A long ball back into the box that's found its way in.
Don't mean it.
Poor,
he doesn't
poor goalkeeping, well over the line in my eyes. But Northampton grinded out that result. 4 points from their last 2 games. They played very well at Wigan, were unlucky not to get anything, and lost by the odd goal against Stevenage. You look at it and you think it's not been a bad start, in my opinion. I think they probably would have taken 4 points. Obviously, they need to be good at home, and that's what they've been so far. When you've got goal scorers like Hoskins in your side, Pinnick can, nick a few goals, maybe that he means next time. But again, I thought in the last 2 game weeks, he probably stole 4 points. And against the Peterborough side, rivalry as well. Good to win against, a local rival. And also, get your first clean sheet of the season as well, which I think is very important for I'm going to use the phrase again, teams like Northampton that need to be solid at the back.
Yeah, I look, just on Tuesday, they didn't steal 2 points off us. They deserved it. They deserved to beat us on Tuesday. Absolutely, they were fantastic. And it looked like sometimes when you score a late goal in a game like that, it gives the team an extra lift. And going into training, they would have an extra spring in their step. Also, couple that up with the fact that they've not beaten Peterborough at home since 2006. It's a massive game for Northampton fans, and trust me, Ben, you'll see when you go to Sixfield this year, they're loud. They're a very good bunch of fans. They're fantastic. They get behind the team, and do you know what? They sort of deserve that little bit of luck. I think Peterborough didn't offer too much. They had a goal disallowed for an offside, but Mitch Pinnock, I think, is a really interesting story. I saw him in the National League playing for Dover. Thought he was a very tidy player then. Obviously, Northampton got him off Dover, I believe. Did really well a couple of years in League Two with them. I mean, Mitch Pinnock doesn't mean that, but it's such poor goalkeeping. And you got to bear in mind, this is a keeper that's come in from Huddersfield. Not played a massive amount of games for them. Looked really good actually on Tuesday night away at Barnsley. He made 2 or 3 very good saves. But this is when you get a young goalkeeper like this, and like Beadle at Oxford as well. Sometimes they're going to make mistakes. Carl Rushworth, great goalkeeper last year, made an absolute monumental mistake against Wednesday, cost us 2 points against them. So young keepers are going to make mistakes, but I think he'll be better for it. But again, very good result for Northampton, very good week for Northampton. Definitely got myself a lot more confident with them.
Absolutely. We will come to your questions at the end. So we're going to wrap through the other, the last 3 or 4 games in Sky Bet League One now. Well done, 11,500 subscribers. Keep going. Thank you, Chris. And we are now on the road to 12,000. If you could subscribe, that'd be appreciated. Nearly 300 new members of the channel since we started the season just 3 weeks ago. So thank you very much for that. We will talk about, the games again later if you want to talk about your team again in the next 10 minutes. But before we do that, we're going to go quickly again through Portsmouth Charlton 0-0. Very frustrating game. The 4th official, obviously, and the linesmen obviously both getting injured, and then a referee getting called up from the crowd in hospitality and corporate. 4-0 written all over it, wanted to get involved. Unfortunately, he didn't put his name through it. I'd have loved to have been caning him this morning about his decisions. And a couple of quotes that we mentioned before in our podcast, that League One podcast, go and give it a follow. Another little plug for it was he had 2 worries. What were they? If Portsmouth scored, how was he going to react as well? And any controversial decisions as well that he was worried about getting wrong. So that is the funny story of the day. But again, Cheltenham off the mark now with a point. A bit like last season, it took them 4 games to get off the mark with a point away at Fleetwood. That was also a 0-0 draw that night and away from home. But again, I think Cheltenham will be absolutely thrilled. Edwin Keane did come off. And let's be honest, there. I think Goodwin and Street up front as well do not look like scoring many goals. So that could be a bit of a loss if he's out for a period of time.
Yeah, Portsmouth, not great, to be honest. They didn't create loads and loads. It's not a game where you think, going into it, you think Pompey, massive favourites, sell-out home game, the attacking options they've got. White, Scully, Bishop didn't perform to the standards that we know they can do. Don't think Mousinho got it right tactically. I think he played 2 holding midfielders, and in a game against Cheltenham at home, I don't think you need to. So I think he got it wrong tactically. What we're going to say now, and do you know what, Ben? If Cheltenham were a little bit more clinical, they could have won the game. They had areas, they had moments, and if they had better quality in those moments, they could have won. But yeah, difficult for Portsmouth. I'm sure they'll look to kick back at Stevenage on the weekend, but that's going to be a really tricky away day for them.
Again, Reading won by 2-0. We deducted a point in the week for failing to play players on time, down to 5 points now. But 2 wins in the last 2 games, obviously playing Stevenage and Cheltenham. Cheltenham obviously not had a great start, but a good point yesterday. And Stevenage was 3 out of 3 up until yesterday. Typical Steve Evans boy yesterday. I think it was only 27% possession, something like that. Did create a couple of chances. Presley did come close. And, Stevenage did look lively in parts, and maybe were lucky in little bits of parts. Going down to 10 men was never going to help Nathan Thompson getting sent off 2 yellow cards, which won't help the cause away at Reading. Reading, again, Kelvin Iyabachaman. How have I done with that pronunciation? Let me know in the comments. I've been working on it. How have I done with a brace? First goal was a very good goal. Second goal was a good save by the goalkeeper, and he just literally taps it in. Good win for Reading. I don't know where I see them going forward, because I like the look of Savage. Obviously, he impressed me at Forest Green Rovers. Son of Robbie Savage, obviously. I like Iyabachaman up front. Vickers, obviously, a young striker. Andy Carroll also allowed to leave the football club. Will that Port Vale penalty, and the lowest touch in the game be his last, involvement with the football club? We shall see.
Yeah. Again, I don't know what to do with Reading either, because they've put a couple of really good performances back to back in. But all the off-field stuff, you're not too sure which way it's going to allow them to go. Because if everything went in Reading's favour, they'd sign a couple more very good League One players and be fighting back towards the top end of the division. But the off-field antics don't allow them to do that. So you then wonder about squad depth and the senior players. I mean, to me, it appeared that they played the kids against Millwall in the Carabao Cup, battered Millwall. They brought the old guard back in for a league game against was it Cheltenham. Got over the line just about, but didn't impress again. So difficult for Ruben Sellers to manage his squad. But if the young guns are up for it, I think Reading could have a successful year. And by that, I mean stabilise, because that's what that football club needs.
Yeah, I think maybe going up this year could be a bit of a worry. Sometimes it go up a bit too soon. I think it won't be quite right for them at this moment in time. I know Fleetwood and Scunthorpe were pushing on a few years ago, and it wasn't right for Fleetwood to go up under Uwe Rosler. And when we kind of lost, it was gutting, but it was kind of like, well, maybe 3 years ago when we were in the playoffs against Wycombe, it was the right moment. At this moment, Reading just need a good season, solid, finishing the top 10, finishing the top 12. I think, if I'm honest with you, I think Barnsley are quite the same this year. I think if they went up, I think they'd struggle. I think Barnsley need a settling process. I think there's a few clubs that need it as well. So it would give, the likes of a Lincoln a chance to 7 points from 9, Jake. Decent little run. Should be 9, really. Should be 9.
Should be 9, yeah.
I got a good result this weekend against Wycombe, and then a point against Northampton. You'd have taken 7 out of 9, I'm sure. Again, a type of game that was a bore fest, a typical League One fixture, between Shrewsbury and Lincoln. Shrewsbury not very good on the eye. I think Daniel Ado and Bowman taking a little while to get going. I know Bowman scored on the opening day, didn't he? And Daniel Ado was coming back from injury and probably not really fully fit yet. Obviously, that's the issue we've got. They have got some good players: Winchester, Shipley, Perry. I really like it. Feeney at the back, Morosi and goals experience. But Lincoln, again, good side. And Ethan Hamilton, I said that you probably draw that game 0-0 last year. Ethan Hamilton's a new addition, and he's managed to put the ball in the onion bag, and, you've nicked it 1-0. Good finish as well.
Yeah, very good finish for Ethan. Do you know what? I think that, like I said to you earlier, it was the weather sort of affected the game and gave Shrewsbury the wind in the first half. And do you know what? Based on the first half, the opportunities that were made, Shrewsbury probably feel aggrieved to not go 1-0 up. I think it's Taylor Perry, who our gaffer managed at Wolves when he was a youngster. Should have scored. Lucas Jensen makes a really good save. Did you? I'm guessing this is this a Northampton fan? Yeah, no, I really rate Northampton based on what I saw them on Tuesday in the last 15 minutes, not in the first 75, but yeah, no, coming back onto Saturday, Shrewsbury probably should have gone 1-0 up. They had the opportunities. Half-time comes in. Again, we show not a lot of signs of improvement. Rico Hackett, probably our best player. And then what we've done this week is, we did it last week, we changed it. We've got the squad depth to do it now. Walker came off, Bishop came on, House came on, and you know what? Ethan, we never win at Shrewsbury, Ben, so that's why I never went. I didn't go, because we never bloody win there. And all of a sudden, I decide not to go. And what happens? We go and win there for the first time in what is it, 17 years. First time we win there in. But no, Ethan Hamilton, great goal. I mean, he's shown at Accrington before, at Bolton, Southend. He knows where the goal is. So it was a really tidy finish. I mean, Paulie O'Connor's probably offside and distracts Morosi, but referee don't give it, and we come away with 3 points. Happy days.
Who's Rico Hackett? What does the crowd say?
Read to the wine. When the crowd say Rico Hackett. Cornell, by the way, I saw Cornell. I don't know if he's been watching. He probably will be. I was on my lunch break at work. My mate Bar was walking into town. There he is, the great man. And he was talking sense about football. Cornell, you're a great man. Love the work.
There we are. Tell you what, one Lincoln fan needs to make sense. Jesus Christ. Wycombe now. Wycombe Burton. Game of the weekend. No. Wycombe positives. We'll go through this quickly. 4 points from 2 games. Much improved. Could have nicked it. Burton very flat again. Didn't look like scoring. Poor start for them. However, the first 2 games were tough. Maybe the last 2, Shrewsbury and Wycombe, not quite as tough. But where do you see these 2 sides at the moment? Because I think Wycombe are in a transition period. I think Burton got pressure from the back end of last season and expect to kick on and haven't quite done so. And they've had this issue so many times in the past when they had Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. 2
sides that have brought in a lot of players to impact the starting 11 straight away and are taking their time to find their feet. I think that's what both of these sides are. They're trying to achieve different things, obviously, but I can see them both clicking at some point this season. So for me, I'm probably slightly more in favour of Wycombe because I like what they're trying to do in terms of the style they're trying to play. I think Bloomfield's put some very good players in. Dale Taylor, Harry Boyes, Vincent Young, Potts, Brecklin as well from City. Whereas for Burton, they're bringing players to suit their own already extinguished style of play and strategy that they've got. So I think both of them will be absolutely fine, but just going to take a little bit of time for them to get going and to hit their goals, I think.
Mustafa Carriel started off for Burton. I think he's only got 2 in 32, 33 games, something like that.
He's rubbish, mate. He's rubbish.
Yeah,
he played for
goals. Obviously, Stockton is out with an injury at the moment, isn't he? Which isn't helping the cause. And I just look at the squad and I think it's very weak at this moment in time, although it's been massively improved from last season as well. So I think Burton will maybe be active in the transfer window. I think they'd be stupid to let Dina Manria go, this window as well. So before we get into the Q&A, so I want you guys to flood the comments full of questions about League One. If you want me to talk about your club again, the next 10 to 15 minutes are that. Before we do so, Jake, you're doing some good work over at Channel 72. We're doing quite well, over 250 subscribers. A new series and Scores on the Bloody Doors as well to add in live shows starting in a couple of weeks. Jake, where can they go and find it? The link is in the description. What can they expect?
Yeah, Channel 72. Come over and check us out. Going to be doing score prediction sort of series throughout the season, which will be good. Got lots of EFL content coming your way towards the back end of the transfer window as well. But yeah, just come and check us out. Obviously, Channel's been doing really well in the first couple of weeks. Lots of exciting stuff. Also, go and check out. Obviously, we've plugged it a few times, and we've mentioned quite a lot. That League One podcast. New episode drops tomorrow. Really fun recording that this morning. So yeah, that's me done, mate. But just again, I appreciate all the support that everyone's come over, and just like to say massive congratulations as well on hitting 11,500 subscribers. That's great work for a little lad that works in the spoon. So well done, Ben.
Thanks. Don't be giving that away. Our Blackpool fans coming to assault me when Blackpool beat Fleetwood in a couple of weeks. I've already got enough of them out on my course. Anyway, so if you could like today's stream as well, that'd be massively appreciated. There's 60 of you in, 33 likes. Those like buttons really do help. But if you're not subscribed below, 40% recently of people watching these videos aren't subscribed yet. So if we can really push that, that'd be massively appreciated as well. We're getting close to 12,000 as well. So like, subscribe, turn notifications on, all that jazz. We're going to come to your questions now. Again, a great comment, Port Vale fan. Loving the videos, mate. Great to see a youngster with such good EFL knowledge. Me?
I'm not young, mate, so he's on about you.
What can I say? Thank you very much. My side, Vale have improved massively. Yes. Legs, hearts, minds. And everyone seems to be playing for Port Vale. I love Conor Ripley's tweet yesterday. It's actually Port Vale, not Port Thingy Vale. We are child friendly, so we won't repeat that. But again, I really like that. And Conor Ripley is a type that once you get him invested, you give him an opportunity, he gets invested in, emotionally attached to a football club. We saw that with Oldham. We saw that with Morecambe. both times he's become a little bit of a stalwart of football club. So things can only go better for the Cos. They can next weekend. It's a huge game, and I think that if we can win the game, I'll be happy. If we get a point, I won't be too disappointed. But again, I'd be worried. Put it that way. Amazing. Amazing singing, Jay. There you are. I thought I said signing. I can't read. What are your lads' thoughts on John Clark Harris going to another League One club? Blackpool or Bristol Rovers linked to say. I said this. Blackpool need to go out and get him. Derby need to go out and get him. Bristol Rovers, the good thing with them, I think McAntony wants £1 million, doesn't he? Will Bristol Rovers get him for £800,000? I'm guessing. How will that work if they sell him back to Bristol? Will he be $1 million and they get the 200k back, or will it just be 800 grand? Because obviously they can get for a little bit cheaper. Do you think that it's more manageable for Bristol Rovers than it might be for Blackpool?
Yeah, it might be, but they've got two senior strikers in Loft and John Marquis. I know that Clark Harris is very much a cut above both of those, but will you want to disturb the furniture? Would you want to upset you two?
There as well.
Exactly. I don't think Bristol Rovers. It's not somebody that I think they need. Look, Blackpool, they seem to be turning on Sadler. I know they were very much in his favour when they got promoted. I remember them singing about him at Wembley, but since then it's gone downhill. They don't seem to have a lot of money. Hey,
who did Blackpool beat on the day?
I don't know, mate. Some team that had a £60 million loanee in it. What I'm going to say, I think it makes sense for him to go to Derby, but Derby have got to stump the cash up. I imagine if he's going to go anywhere, I can see him at Derby. I can't see him at Blackpool.
There's some big games in Sky Bet League One now, and next week, and I'm looking through it. There's massive games. Bristol Rovers, Wycombe again. You're looking at that with two sides that will be wanting to be in the top 10 at the end of the season. Bolton need to go to Burton and react. Burton need a win at home. Cheltenham, Northampton, we are being asked for a score prediction. Is a huge opportunity for both sides to go and get something.
I haven't wrote them down.
I'm not going to ask you for a prediction, but again, that's a huge game when you look at it. We're only in match week 5, and there's some huge games already. Every game's huge in League One.
I think I went 1-0 Cobblers, actually.
I went 2 on Cheltenham.
You did. Yeah, I don't think Cheltenham were going to score 2 goals in a game all season, mate, based on what they're doing. Although Cheltenham are very much massive because they were featured on the Fabrizio Romano Twitter page this week when they signed, I'm not going to try his name, but the right back on loan from Fulham, who's can play for Italy and for England, play for England youth groups, looks a very tidy signing. I know he's a defender and they need that attacking output, but I like that signing on loan from Fulham.
Another one, Peterborough Derby next week is a huge game, isn't it? Two sides that you'd fancy. Peterborough are good at home. Is it me just fancying the Peterborough winning this one? I think this is the type of game that Derby would falter in last season. I fancy Peterborough quite strongly.
Not as strongly as me, mate. If you remember, I
do remember your score prediction.
I've gone 4-1 Posh. I think they're gonna run away with it a little bit.
Yeah. Wigan Barnsley, 2 decent-ish sides. Wigan looking to extend the run. Do you think the mentality may change now they're in positive points?
Yeah, I think it will. I think they'll realise that they're only 7 points off the top of the table, and 6 points off the playoffs. If you told a Wigan fan that within 3.5 weeks of football, 2.5 weeks of football, you're going to be 6 points off the playoffs, you'd go, do you know what? I'd bloody take that. So, yeah, I think they'll be. I think like I said on the pod, I think Wigan will comfortably beat Barnsley.
Absolutely. Ben, you may have spoken about this already. Do you think we have any new players? I think Fleetwood will sign another 2, a striker, a centre midfielder, and I think we'll see 2 leave the football club, per se. If Blackpool brought Clark on, I'd run through Talbot Square naked. Wow, we don't really want to see that, but when Marriott leaves the Cons, do you think Alex could be a decent replacement for the season? Obviously, had a loan spell at Hillsborough last season as well, or we'll probably play him right back like Bolton Wednesday. He does that.
Are you linked with Alex Mighton, Ben?
No.
I'll tell you what, as somebody obviously who we had the connection with a certain Brennan Johnson, Alex Mighton was the tip to be the next one that was going to come until Wednesday came in last minute for him last year. Didn't work out a Wednesday, but would be a great option for him.
Really wasn't impressed.
Don't care, mate. 3 points. Do not care. We came out with the 3 points. You didn't. I don't care. We can play rubbish and still win. If it's going to get us up towards the top end of the table, which Shrewsbury won't be, I'm more than happy. Come at me.
Absolutely agree. Keep up the good work, lads. Thanks so for this. 57 people, and yes, get liking. It would be appreciated as well. For what you've seen so far, where you could see the Cobblers finishing, I could see them finishing anywhere between 16th and 22nd. And I don't think the bottom two, but I think they'll be up and around that area all season. I think they'll. I stay up. I really do.
I do comfortably.
They've got goals.
I think they're looking at that next bracket up. I think anywhere between, 15th.
Do you think they'll look at the bracket where Exeter, Fleetwood, Port Vale, Lincoln,
Lincoln?
Last year,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Let me finish.
What she said, yeah, last year, yeah. That sort of, I'm getting that sort of vibe.
Is Jake looking forward to the long trip? He won't be going. He doesn't like it.
Here I am. Yes, mate. I'm very much looking forward to going back to a ground where we hit 6 last season. So anything less will be an absolute travesty. No, looking forward to it. Bristol Rovers is a great ground. From my understanding, it's a bit of a different view this time. It's not going to be behind the goal, but no, looking forward to it. Good street food at Bristol, and a very good opportunity to get another 3 points as well, which is all that matters.
Absolutely. Derby Stewards yesterday were a joke. Honestly, manhandled us like it's no. Honestly, they crammed us into the tiniest of away ends, right? And it's not done Fleetwood's away following any good. And can I just say, fans do not win games, you know.
Said this for years, Ben. Me and you have said this for years. When Wigan got promoted and Bolton fans were going, well, you know, I think they even clipped us up, didn't they, Ben, and put us on Twitter?
Oh, yeah. I'm not commenting. I like Bolton fans. Bolton fans were nice.
I like Bolton fans. I do. I like Wigan fans.
Wigan fans, right? There's not many of them, right?
Exactly.
But they are good. They are good.
I don't know about you, Ben, but I'd rather have 10,000 fans and win the league than get 25,000 fans and not come in the playoffs.
Yeah, honestly, right? There's 200 of us every week. Fleetwood's population, right, is 25,000 people, right? You've got the Isle of Man, on the sea next week. Next week you've got obviously Blackpool, with over 200,000. Lytham, obviously, is where I'm, heritage from. There's not many, football fans around here. They all support Man United, Liverpool, City, all that jazz, but it's really hard to attract fans. We are a National League / National League North club, overachieving. We have had money pumped into us, but one thing you got to remember: fans do not win games. And there's Derby fans going, "You should be minimum bringing 500 away game." Says who? Like it's been an expensive month for myself this year. Right, I'm looking. I've already spent 150 quid on away games, and I've been to Carlisle, Port Vale, and Bolton. Like, I'm not being funny. That. It's not the most glamorous of starts, is it? And then I've been to Derby now. So, you've got to realize these things cost money. We're a small club. It's not the glamorous of areas. It's a deprived area. We're in a financial crisis as well, where you go out the house and you charge, £5 for every step you take. The price of beans, the price of butter, the price of bread's going up. So you can't even, you live cheaply. And you've got to remember as well, football costs money, and it doesn't matter if you've got 2,000 or 200 in that away end. Praise the 200 that go. When we go to Cheltenham, 3rd of October, 3rd of September, 3rd of October, there'll be about 50 of us on a Tuesday night. We'll get slaughtered for it. But fans do not win games, and fans are the heart of the club. And believe me, Fleetwood, when we've taken 100 fans to places, we've been louder than some clubs have taken 3,000 to Wednesday. We've been louder than them. And that is coming from Sheffield Wednesday fans, end of. When will you win, Ben? I'm dying to know. Well, I don't know. I really don't know.
When will Pompey lose, Dylan? You're going unbeaten, we've heard.
Unbeatables, I've heard.
Absolutely. That's going to be interesting when I go and see him in September.
And Stevenage are doing really well. Steve Evans is the type of manager to get something from these bigger clubs, isn't he? Most outside when you don't play well, but you take all 3 points, especially away from home. Winning 1-0 away is my favourite scoreline. I'd rather win 1-0 away than 3-2, in my opinion. Yeah. Might get a bit wet, Jake. All open territories at the ground is like, what's happening with this away end? Like, is it?
So I think, from what I can tell, they're getting council approval in 8 days. So I imagine they'll start building it next week. But
how long will it take?
End of the season, you'd probably think. I mean, we've done a lot of work to one of our stands in the off season, but yeah.
Yeah, £28 for Bolton away, by the
Agreed.
way. Yeah.
Agreed.
It should be capped football, and I'm trying not obviously to get these. For me, you're looking at 20 quid for League 1.
20 is plenty, mate. 20 is plenty
25
wherever we go.
quid, 30 quid at the absolute max. If the
Yeah.
Premier League could cap it, why are we not capping it?
Yeah,
It's
agreed.
an absolute joke. Now, not that it matters, but we come 16, 17 for away to this last season in this championship, yet we're the only ones to get. Yeah, exactly. I don't get it. It's because we can only get 9,000 at home, but you look at the percentage that we can take away. 60% of their season tickets went yesterday. You know how mad that is? That fair play. Ray charged 30. Exactly, it's ridiculous. To be honest, I think the fact when they came to Lincoln was decent. To be honest, we'll take that. Celebrating the last minute goal, penalty, was it?
Yeah, offside there.
Absolutely. So again, we're going to end the stream there, but thank you very much for watching. I'm proud of myself. 3 shows in a row. We've done, and it's ended dead on the hour mark pretty much. So really happy about that. Jake, a good weekend in Sky Bet League One. You were talking to me about manager of the week, which you can see on our League One podcast. We had a little bit of a healthy debate, so you can go and follow that tomorrow. I was going for the obvious, and Jake didn't want to go for the obvious, but we will leave that for that. Jake, any final words before I let you go?
Yeah, just good to be back on, mate. Looking forward to having a Tuesday off. Actually, it's been a bit of a. It's been exactly Tuesday for the last 3 weeks. So it'd be good for all the clubs, I'm sure, to get a full game week in. I have just been reminded that Max Mata now has his visa for Shrewsbury. So good luck on Saturday, because he's going to be quite a handful for you boys. But scored for fun in Ireland. So good luck. I just
want to win a game of football. You don't realise how I come home and I'm depressed. Like, you've got to edit a video, right? And I've got questions like, when's your vlog out? When's this out? When's this out? When's your League One stuff? Will you just leave me alone? We've lost a game of football. And like, I'm worried I might not have a channel next year. Like, I'm going to have to go to League 2. Do you know how bad that is?
But yeah, looking forward to having a slight week off. Go again on Saturday. Looking forward to Blackpool. Got a good friend who might be watching, Callum, who's a Blackpool fan. So looking forward to it, actually. Very, very excited.
Absolutely. And again, over 80 people in the chat later on. So thank you so much for watching. If you join me now or stayed with me from the start, please like us you exit the stream. Subscribe down below. It is vital. It does help the channel out more than you will know. And again, we are so close now to 12,000 subscribers. We've got big ambitions to hit that before Christmas as well. And I think, with a real push, we can, go to 12,500 in my opinion as well. So if you could subscribe below, subscribe to Jake. His channel link is in the description below. And again, a big over and out from me. I'll leave you with some of our comments, and I'll leave you to Jay to stay up the imps, and I'll give up the COD as well. But again, League One, it keeps giving, and we'll be back for next Sunday at 8 o'clock for another hour of Sky Bet League One action, where again is a bumper pack weekend, and then we'll be 10% already through this Sky Bet League One season. Thanks for watching. Up the CODs, and Jake.
Up the imps. Yeah, man.
Shabbat.